Hey everyone, so in the previous video, I demonstrated how I created the upgrade UI for the game that I'm working on, and I said that one of the main limitations was that you could just do all the upgrades and that there was no constraint. And that constraint would be in the form of some kind of skill points. So I figured I'd show you how that would be added, and then if you found this useful, you can let me know and I can keep you updated as far as the game development process is proceeding. So, I already did the tedious stuff as far as adding these UI objects. And again, you have to go to UI and you have to use these specific types. So it has to be a text UI, it has to be if you're using a button, if you're using image, so on and so forth. So remaining points is text, the 0 is text, the green box is an image. Now, the 0, we're going to do something a little bit different because right now all the text objects are constants. That is their value, because if you look at a text object, you can see it has a value, and the value is a string. Primary weapon, shot speed, so on and so forth, and it never changes. Images changes, but so far text don't. This is going to be similar, how we change those images, but we're going to apply it to a text object. So how do we do that? So first of all, we need a variable to set that text object to. So as I mentioned in the previous video, I have this GameFlow script, and this is basically a repository for static variables and other overall controls for the flow of the game, at least for this part of the game. And so as you can see, I've added this new static variable, made it a float, remaining points equals 2. So it's about taking this and applying it to that text object. Well, in the Garage UI, we already have this, which checks for the name of the object that it's attached to and then makes a change. Now, as I said, so far we've only been changing images. We're going to change text. So I already copied and pasted this bottom one, and now we're just going to change it. That text object is RP for remaining points, of course. And this time, rather than changing it like this, we're going to do get component text. And it's the text attribute. And we are going to set it to GameFlow dot. And we said that was remaining points. And now we have to do toString. Because this is looking for a string and this is a number, so you just have to do that conversion. So as you can see, it's a very similar principle. You're looking at the name of the object that the script is attached to, and you're modifying that object, a certain attribute of that object. And again, you're modifying it based on a variable from the GameFlow script. So GameFlow.remaining points is already set to 2. This is now checking the name of the object to see if it's RP, and if it is, then set it to that variable, so it should set it to 2. But now we need to attach this to that object, which I don't think I did yet. I didn't want to do everything ahead of time. So right now the RP script is selected, and nope, there's no script on it, and so that is the Garage UI. And if I haven't forgotten anything, that alone should now have the number appear there. And it does. You can see it changed to 2 from 0. So far, so good. We now have that value dynamically displaying here. Now we just have to create a linkage between this button and this number, that when you click on this button, it's going to say, is this number high enough? If it is, then it's going to go ahead and execute what it normally executes and subtract from this. We already have that functionality in place. We already have something that checks for a button click, so it's just adding in a couple more commands. So I believe it's also the Garage UI. Yes, it's one of the button clicks. So it was, I believe, shot speed. So let's just click on our button to make sure. And as we said, you go to the button component, and sure enough, it's shot speed, or upgrade shot speed is the routine that it's running, or the function, sorry, the function that it's running. So upgrade shot speed, upgrade shot speed. So this is what's happening. But we now want to add a condition. So we don't want to just increase that variable. We want to check the other value first. So if gameflow dot remaining points is greater than 0. It should never be a fraction. You can always tighten up the logic. Again, this is just meant to be the broad strokes. So if remaining points is greater than 0, then you get to do the upgrade and remaining, whoops, and gameflow dot remaining points minus equals 1. So if I haven't forgotten anything, that alone does it. Now what this doesn't do is this doesn't make subsequent points cost, subsequent upgrades cost more, because it's just saying, is it greater than 0? Fine, minus 1. Like I said, if you're looking to have each upgrade cost more, then you would need another variable. And so rather than this being a constant, this would be a variable, and you would have that value increase. That way it's checking against a higher number. So first it checks to see if it's greater than 0. Then it says, is it greater than 1, 2, whatever you want the additional cost to be. And if I haven't forgotten anything, that will already do it. So let's save this. Run it. So it says 2. I click on upgrade. It changes to 1. We get the upgrade. Changes to 0. We get the upgrade. And there you go. It is not increasing. So just like that, you have added a very key control to your upgrade. And now it's just a matter of rinse and repeat. So you would just have each button check for the corresponding amount of points. So I think that's about it. One brief thing, I don't think in the last video I showed you how I actually applied the value. I said I might because it all depends on how you make your game, but if you're interested in how I did it. So here is the script that is attached to the shot object. So when we run this and I shoot, that object has a script attached to it. Okay, so this is the script that's attached to the object. The start section gets executed once when the object is instantiated. So when you fire, this object gets instantiated. And there is a rigid body object component, excuse me, there's a rigid body component attached to that object. So I'm simply setting the velocity, but rather having it be a constant velocity, it's a variable. So it's a constant base velocity, so it will always go at least 6, but then it adds that shot speed bonus. Again, the shot speed bonus here, which then gets updated here that we're just looking at. So you just use that connectivity between the functions. And so it's getting applied to the variable. Now, could you make this go less? Yes, if say there's a debuff, then you would have, say, another variable in here. So say the enemy can do a debuff to you, you could then do a subtraction from this, and maybe their debuff is -5, okay? And so the base speed would then only be 1, or 1 plus whatever the upgrades are. So you can just keep stacking on the different variables and make this a really big calculation. So I think that's about it. If you guys have found this useful, let me know. This is kind of a different approach because this is more of a devlog. It's kind of combination devlog and tutorial. It's more intermediate because I'm not going through all the steps. I'm kind of doing, I've already done most of the work and I'm just kind of peeling back the layers. But one of the reasons why I decided to do this is because it's my intention to actually bring this game to completion, and that will eventually take up a lot of time, and so will eventually impact my ability to give you guys tutorials. So I'm hoping that this is a good compromise, that this would still be helpful to you to see maybe the more advanced stages of a game, because most of the games I do are introductory. And my timeline is hopefully to have this done within a month or so, depending on how much I can settle on, because one of the problems I have is I have a basic idea and then I just start adding more features. known as feature creep, and then I wind up not liking it and I give up. So the idea is to try to have a simple gameplay loop that gives you some variance, some variety, and keeps changes just enough to keep you interested. Like I've already purchased a whole bunch of assets, which you'll see in a later video. Because if you have found this useful, what I'll do is I'll show you how I do the wave spawn. So like every one of these, this is a different enemy that I've purchased from the asset store. And so what I could do is I could do a tutorial that shows you how I do the wave spawning. And actually there's one part of that's pretty advanced as far as how to calculate which wave to spawn without having a whole bunch of if statements. So let's do that. If you want to see how to do the wave spawn, just do a like and a comment. And again, I don't normally ask for that, but I really need to know if this is something you guys are interested in. Certainly don't want to waste your time or mine. All right, so if you found this useful, then please do that, and please enjoy the rest of your day.